pjnet.tv. It is at 9 p.m. on the 9:01, it says here, on the East Coast of the United States. This is PJNet Live. Our bumper is running, we're recording, and there's rumors out there that YouTube isn't working. I guess we'll find out in a moment, but we're still streaming to Facebook and to Twitter, and our guest is standing by. So let's count her down to Studio 12. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Folks, I know that many of you, like myself, have been eagerly awaiting to see the SELA, whatever, those awards. And they were going to be streamed on YouTube, but apparently I was wondering if our stream would work or not. But apparently it is. And for that, thank God, because there's been times when it hasn't. So it's great. A long time ago, I don't remember exactly when, I should have done the research, but we had an interesting fellow come by, and it's a special day when we can have interesting people, because most of the time they're not. And Jack Foster is standing by. Jack, before we get started, how old were you yesterday?
64 years old.
How old were you yesterday?
Oh, yesterday. 63 yesterday.
Okay.
I aged a year in one day.
Yeah. You look a lot older than you did yesterday. I didn't see you yesterday, but I'm sure you look a lot older. And, folks, Jack appeared on our program some months back and has become something of a PJNet junkie. Jack is an illustrator, as you will hear soon. And he illustrates children's books, and every time I go on Facebook, it seems like you've got another gig. The coronavirus has certainly been good to you, I guess, because you can do your work the way I do mine, sitting in front of a computer.
Mm-hmm. And more people are reading books now because they're staying home, so it kind of works in two different directions.
Well, where's all these new gigs coming from? Tell us about your work, what you're working on.
Well, I had been working for like 4 small publishers, but the coronavirus actually knocked two of them out of business. Mm-hmm. But I had been working with a lot of authors through those publishers, and after they closed down, they were looking to continue publishing, so they reached out to me. They were self-publishing, and they needed an illustrator to illustrate their books. So mostly lately I've been doing, independent stuff, working with self-publishing authors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, in a typical children's book, I had to kind of learn this along the way, so I wanted to share it for those that don't know the man behind the curtain. You're looking at the man behind the curtain that makes these books happen. But when you open a children's book, that's called a spread, is it not?
Yes, especially if it goes across 2 pages of the picture, the illustration.
Right.
It's called a 2-page spread. So Some books are all 2-page spreads. Some of them are individual pages with a couple spreads thrown in. So,
So that creates some unique challenges in your line of work, because now you're not working with the standard page aspect ratio and size. Now you're looking at a much larger canvas. Does that impact the difficulty?
The standard ones that I usually do are 8.5 by 8.5. So then I have to keep the 8.5 the same size and double the width, so that it's about 17 by 8.5. Plus, we got to figure in the spine and thickness of the pages and all that stuff. So it does run into a little tricky stuff. But I've always been pretty good with math, so. I didn't really ever think I would use math in art, but with digital art and with publishing, I use it all the time. So
I'm getting 2 messages from all over. By the way, YouTube is working, and that's I said that earlier.
Oh, good.
Same thing here, Jack. The highest math class I took in high school was Algebra 1. I took geometry and did not do particularly well with it. Of course, back then I wasn't particularly motivated either. I probably could have done anything I put my mind to, but my mind, I was doing things that I had my mind on. But yeah, there was some geometry I was looking at, and then studying. And,
Right.
I was studying hourglass geometry. Um, the but once we get into the digital world, I found out the frequencies of light. That creates color. The anisotropic occlusion. Gosh, there's words I've never heard of. But in my line of work, you not only need to know the geometry, but you need to know physics.
Mhm.
The impact of wind, gravity, and velocity, pressures in fluids, the feet per second, and it's a whole new world. I haven't
Yeah.
been this
Yeah.
excited since I was a kid. I mean,
Well, you're
so
making some amazing stuff. I can't wait to see what else you come up with.
well, you make some amazing stuff because I know more than most, or the average person certainly, the detail that goes into that. So on a single rendering, one drawing, whether it be a spread or do you have to spend time getting inspiration and then you have to do the work? I mean, what's the workflow? Do you have to get the inspiration, or does the author just give that to you and say, "I need this"?
I like when the authors, some do try and micromanage everything, but
Interfere with
I
your
like
work?
when yeah, when they give me like free reign. I just read the book like 20 times, and I start seeing pictures in my head of the pages.
Hmm.
So I actually could see a page before I draw it, and a lot of times it comes out pretty much the way I drew it. So what I do is, after I get the inspiration, I sketch it on a regular piece of paper, the old fashioned way, and then I scan it into my computer, and then I use a couple of different programs. One of them is called Illustrator,
Hmm.
and
Adobe.
Adobe, yeah, and
Hmm.
it's mostly shapes and colors. So
Hmm.
I try and lay out all the shapes and colors of my picture. Some of them look pretty detailed. Some of them just look like a bunch of blobs. But
Hmm.
then I import it into Photoshop, and then I paint it there. It usually takes me about 8 hours to do one
Hmm.
page, so to paint it. So
It's a page a
between
day.
yeah, so between the inspiration, the drawing, the Illustrator, and Photoshop, it's usually about 10 hours for per page.
Yeah. Well, and you've got that extra step of the client, which at the moment I don't have. I hope to someday,
Mhm.
but I don't have to put up with client interference because I know what you're talking about. They and what now in drawing still pictures, it's and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't do this, but it would seem to me, based on the limited experience I have, is you kind of work from the back to the front, the big stuff, and then you start filling in the details. And with animation, it's the opposite. You've got to get the detail, and then you basically project that onto a larger scene.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it is the opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like you try and get the background. You know where the character is going to be, but then you kind of get all the background and
Well,
everything.
the
All set up for
movements
this
and the
character.
scales and
Mhm.
yeah, boy, the amount of math.
A lot
Which
of times I'll do a background and it'll be like way bigger than I need. I'll
hmm
put the character in there and then I'll crop it and I'll lose a lot of the work I had originally done, but
we
the
can
picture
scale
looks
it.
a lot better when it's cropped in a certain way.
Well, I guess what you could do is just paint it bigger and scale everything down, and then
Mhm.
you lose anyway. Folks, we're just kind of talking shop here.
Yeah.
Um, Jack, tonight, one of the things I'm getting all these updates. I'm getting text messages almost every moment that so many of the PJNet family are winning and placing in the awards that are the ceremony is going on as we speak, I think.
Oh,
And
that's great. Can you
but
can you announce some of them or no?
well, all I've got is a bunch of text messages at the time that came from multiple directions. But it's so nice, that I wish we were 100 times as big as we are. Quote, whatever. You always want bigger and better, but the fact that some of the people that appear on these screens, are being recognized at what I would consider the Macy's parade of Christian writers conferences is
Hmm.
very affirming that we are doing something right and that the people that we work with are good people and in their professional achievements, they're good people apart from that.
Mhm.
But Jack, you have so many of the ones that we work with, you work with too.
Yeah, actually, I met a lot of them through PJNet, but I knew a few of them before. But just getting to know some of the people that are involved with the writing industry and the ones that are at the conference right now and getting awards, it has really inspired me. And I kind of wanted to talk about some of them tonight. You know that how they have impacted my life and how they when they're off the screen with you and PJNet that they're doing some amazing things out there. You know, I never knew JD before,
Mm-hmm.
but now I have talked to him on the phone a few times. He's told me about some of the volunteering stuff he does. He's written over 100 books and manuals, and he's all about glorifying God, even as um, the name of his ranch is the Cross W, which is glorifying God right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings people to his ranch and talks about Jesus, and he's just an amazing guy, and I love talking to him. He's really a character.
Well, JD's got that persona, the hospitality gift, but that ranch is like a ministry magnet. It just draws
Mm-hmm.
people in, and you'll see on Facebook, so and so there's traveling. They stopped at JD's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a lot of people on the way from if you're going across the country, but
Yeah.
it's always JD, that's
Mm-hmm.
drawing those overnight guests because he's got such his hospitality is good,
Mm-hmm.
and the ranch setting is just I yearn to go out there and just sit on the porch and get old Bubba
Yeah. Right.
the chocolate lab. I don't know how he and my German Shepherd would get along, but my German Shepherd's kind of spoiled and doesn't company's not high on the list with him.
Well, Bubba's from Texas, so he's probably pretty laid back.
Yeah, yeah. But we're very gifted, are very blessed. JD is he's the real deal, and he
Yeah, he
doesn't
sure is. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
doesn't spend a lot of time drawing attention to himself. But when you get to know him and learn some of the things he's involved in,
Mm-hmm.
you find out that there's more to it than just what you see on the skin on the surface.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. You see them talking on the screen here, but they're behind the scenes. Their lives are touch so many more people and give so much glory to God. It's just amazing. And I knew Ben before. Actually, he's the one who introduced me to you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and he's an amazing guy. I know. Last year, he was named one of the most fascinating people of 2020 by some magazine or something.
I'm sure it's a local magazine, but nonetheless.
He's a writer and a beekeeper. I guess that makes him fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Ben was here last night, and he's actually got several speaking engagements lined up, and that's been kind of a goal of his is to,
Mhm.
writing is good, illustrating's good, animating's good, but a lot of that tends to happen in the man cave, so to
Oh yeah,
speak,
yeah, definitely.
and that doesn't develop us very much socially. So,
Right.
but speaking is a way, and Ben is like, he's a, I said last night, I've said it before, Jack, if you're on a game show and Ben is one of the other contestants, just go ahead and forfeit.
I know, right?
You have no chance. He is a walking encyclopedia.
He is. He is.
On a variety of subjects too, by the way. It's not just beekeeping. It's not just biology.
Mhm.
He's well schooled, well educated, and presents himself in a very humble and a pleasant way. A lot of these.
Right.
Yeah, one of the do you feel like I feel when people introduce themselves as I'm Doctor So and So?
Oh yeah. It's just kind of puts you off right away, right?
Oh, really? That usually gives me the wrong impression. Now, our former pastor had two doctorates. Now, when I would introduce somebody, I would always introduce him as Dr. Kinsel. and he would interrupt and say, "Just Rich, just Brother Rich." But I would always show respect. I wouldn't introduce him as Rich,
Yeah.
but
I
he
love that.
always maintained humility, and it's hard to do when you work as hard as you have to get 2 PhDs. But I always kind of get the wrong impression when people kind of put that in your face, you know.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Actually, Ben is working on a new children's devotional, and he asked me to write a little something on the back after I read it. It's really good, and the illustrations, of course, I had to look at those. Those are amazing. So, yeah,
I
I love the way he even in his adult devotions he connects the nature with
mhm.
biblical principles and walking the Christian life. He just does it in such a smooth and amazing way, and he did the same thing in the children's devotional.
He can make a bug spiritually relevant. He can. He
That's
did it
good.
last night. He did.
Yeah. Uh, and then of course you have Dell, who's got the sports connection, and he's written several sports devotionals. But he also has a blog that's amazing, that talks about faith and all that, and a lot of that stuff. So he's an amazing guy too.
And he was the first, and a mutual friend introduced me to Dell. And at the time, PJNet was kind of an idea. We're going to do this. This is not a Zoom meeting. We're going to do things. And he saw that vision, and he was the first to say, "I'll be on every." And I'll always remember Dell for taking that initiative, because once it's sort of like karaoke. I ain't going over there, but then somebody else does, and then you kind of course, karaoke. That's a few beers later.
Yeah.
You get these little packages of 12-ounce cans of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. I know he's got two more books coming out too. The follow-ups to his other books, Dugout Devotions and First Down
Well, yeah,
Devotions.
and he's got two, and again, this life, as not only have I observed it, I'm now living it. Is when you take on these projects, you really just need to call time out on everything else and immerse yourself in it. You cannot, or I cannot, and I think this is generally agreed upon. You can't do this 45 minutes here and an hour there. You've got to just say, the world can just wait, and I will emerge when I'm done, like Moses coming down the mountain with the tablet.
Right. Sometimes my wife will call upstairs and say, "It's 3:30. Are you ever going to eat lunch today?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to eat lunch."
She tells you that at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But she also had to remind you that today was your birthday, so I'm not sure that that's
Yeah.
a
So yeah.
professional. Yeah. Folks, put it on your calendar. June the 2nd is Jack's birthday, and remind him, so his wife will be relieved of that duty.
Yes, you won't have to do it
Did you?
anymore.
You didn't really forget your birthday, did you?
Well, she reminded me like about a week ago. I,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't realize that it was coming up that quick.
Well, when you've had as many as we've had, it's just no big deal. It's just a reminder of our mortality.
Right, right. Sometimes it is hard to remember how many we had.
Well, Jack, there's two things about getting old, and one of them is that your memory begins to fail you.
What's the other thing?
How many did I say there were? I don't know what the other one is. I forgot.
You forgot it.
That's one of what I
I
call
can
my
put that.
binary jokes. There's binary. There's only two elements to it. The other one goes like this: Jack, there's two keys to success. Two keys. Number one, don't tell everything that you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh boy. Oh, and
I would list some
Michelle, I knew
names,
her
but you
before
Michelle. Okay, yeah, let's talk about Michelle.
before before I met her on here, but I already had known her because she's in the children's book industry, and she is just. I get tired just looking at her Facebook page. She's involved in so much stuff. She's an amazing woman. It's I know she's at the conference right now, but and she's written over 90 books. Some of them are children's books. One of them is called Dinosaur Devotions, which is really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a speaker at a lot of conferences. Well, is she a speaker at Blue Ridge, or is she just there for
I
the
don't
book?
know. She spoke at some conferences that I have gone to, but her strength is children's books, and
Mm.
she and I don't know what you have to do that. I don't have it, but you know what? I'm going to do children's book, but I'm not going to use my imagination. I'm going to use others and showcase that. But um, Michelle is very busy, very but also very purpose driven. But she, like so many authors, gets into that state I just talked about. There's a deadline there. And I
Hmm.
guess if the publishers didn't have deadlines, they would never publish anything because, she will call and, if she's under a deadline, she always makes arrangements to have, someone stand in her place. Except
Yeah.
this week, she
Yeah.
had actually made arrangements, but the person couldn't make it at the last minute. But she's very dutiful. But she was the second. Dell told Michelle about PJ Ned.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't
Oh
know
yeah,
that.
oh yeah, that's where that came from.
Mm.
And like Dell, Michelle said, "Oh, this is something new and something different." Well, that's right up her alley. I call her an
Yeah.
octopus on roller skates. I mean, she's got all this stuff going on, but it's
Yeah.
like, and when you talk to her, it's really she must be like from New York or something. She talks at an accelerated speed, and it's like, Michelle, focus on. Let's finish this. Let's finish this. We'll talk about that. But can we finish this first? It's like, gosh,
Well, she's a woman too, and women know how to
oh,
do all that
how do
stuff.
they do that?
Us men are just, focused.
Right, get to the point. Get to
Right.
the bring it on. But she is, she's a doll. I mean, she is just she knows what she wants to do, and she says that she's written 90 books. I think she's written more than that she can't talk about because she does something that a lot of people, what's the word I'm looking for? But ghostwriting is a
Oh,
big
ghostwriting. Yeah.
business. And it's and of course, it's lucrative to get that deal, but it's sort of anticlimactic because you make this big deal,
Yeah.
but you can't tell anybody
Yeah.
about it. You can't put it
Yeah.
on your resume. But
Yeah.
she did a class that I was videoing about ghostwriting, and she says it's big money, but
Mm.
you've got to set that ego aside because you're going to get your check. That's what you get is a check, and it's a nice one. The hard part, she says, about ghostwriting is you've got to get to know that person at a level that only their best friend, and you've got a short
Oh,
period of
yeah.
time, but you got to really get inside their head.
Yeah. I didn't even really think about that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not storytelling. You
Yeah.
are expressing a point of view as if you were, that's hard.
Yeah. That is hard. Yeah. That's amazing that she could go from that to writing for children because it's, I'm sure that it's a lot different.
Well, I've heard the biggest challenge in publishing children's book is getting an illustrator.
Yeah, I think that's true. I see it all the time. It's but there are a lot of illustrators out there. But
Well, you've been doing this for a while, Jack.
yeah, I've been
Um,
doing it for about 12 years now. I tried to get into doing comics and newspapers for like 25 years, and I have a file cabinet uh, full of rejections, 25 years worth of rejections. And the funny thing was, after I went back to school and learned digital art and put it up there, and I got a contract with a publisher, I look back at some of those rejections, and on the bottom, some of them actually put some notes and said that my style was too cute. I should think about maybe going in a different direction. But I was so stubborn. I wanted to get those comic strips in the newspaper, you know.
Well, but you remained malleable. You remained now. You said you went back to school.
Yeah, when I was 49, I went back to college to learn digital painting and, you know, everything digital.
Well, I have been a self-taught person all my life. I taught myself to program computers. I taught myself to repair phone systems, to program, which are computer systems. I taught myself, believe it or not, to fly airplanes.
Wow.
Those were easy. I tell you what's hard is learning animation. Jack, I cranked
Really
up, I
can't teach
cranked up
yourself
the
that, right?
software, and it's like what? There's thousands. It's like walking into the cockpit of a 747. There's stuff all over the place, but you don't know what it does, and it's very intimidating. Well, I started watching some video tutorials, and they were somewhat useful. But the problem is the presenter, they were not professional in most cases. I actually purchased a video tutorial series, which stays more on track, but they're very limited in their, and it dawned upon me that this trade that you and I are in, you can read every resource there is on riding a bicycle, and you will fall off that bike. You can't ride a bicycle. I don't care how much you've read about it.
Yeah, you got to do it.
You
Yeah.
got to do it. And so what I wound up doing is to accelerate the pace, because the fact of the matter is I'm older than you are. I don't have that trial and error time that I had when I was 20,
Yeah, right.
and I went to online to these tutoring firms and found a tutor. Now, it wasn't easy because there aren't many tutors. I don't know if you've looked at, just for a little side gig, but there's a big demand for tutoring. And I think you would have the skills to do that. And I don't know what they pay. I know what I was paying. I was paying between $50 and $65 an hour for a tutor. Now, how much the tutor actually got, but surely they got at least half, but probably I would
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
majority of it. But my tutor kind of vanished, and he was giving hints that I was learning fast and I was approaching the point, and I was going in a direction that wasn't his specialty. He's into modeling and the geometry, but not the physics. The particles, the wind,
Yeah.
the gravity, the pressures, and shortly thereafter he quit showing up. So I went to another tutoring firm, and they said you should hear from a tutor within 24 to 48 hours. Well, a week later, because I was pretty specific, because I don't want to waste my time or money. But I got lucky, a 22-year-old kid that taught himself this software, this animation software, and he's really, really good. The problem is he just got a full-time job. So, but I literally went to, as you did, I just went to school, but in a different way. And it's hard to find tutors who want to work starting at 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
very fortunate. But I've probably only had I would say 10 hours of tutoring. But when you have a personal tutor, that makes a big difference. And I would encourage you to at
Yeah.
least take a look at tutoring,
Yeah. I'll have to
because
take a
you
look at that. Yeah.
gain skills. And it's also biblical as discipleship.
Yeah.
You can read the Bible all you want to, and you should. But but at some point you need that mentor. You need that human leader, to guide you, the Sherpa,
Right.
somebody to help you. And I think that you would flourish in that environment. And the older I get, the more it thrills me to teach, somebody,
Oh, I love teaching, and I've even offered my services to teach some teenagers at school, digital painting if they want to learn.
hmm do they have high school level stuff that even touches on this at all?
The basic stuff, but you gotta wait till you get to college to really learn a lot of the. But
So you went to college at age 49, which, by the way, I commend you for that.
I didn't even know
Is
how to
there a
turn on a
4-year
computer.
program called digital art? I mean, what do you do? How long did it take?
It was a year. It was actually supposed to be 2 years, but I'm kind of like you, and I tried to, learn faster than they were teaching me, and I quit the second year, and I taught myself Illustrator program.
Hmm.
The college course I was taking was Photoshop
Yeah.
and digital painting,
Hmm.
and I kind of learned most of that stuff. So then I wanted to learn Illustrator because I knew that was kind of like where I wanted to go first in my basic drawing. So I bought the same book from the same company that they were teaching out of for Photoshop at our college, and it had a little disc in the back. So I just followed the disc and went through the book and taught myself Illustrator. So I kind of did it in a year and a half when it was supposed to be like a 2 year program. So
Yeah. Well, I'm cramming 2 years into about 7 months. Um,
the
you
older
know,
you get, the more we got to cram, right?
well, you say that tongue in cheek, but the fact that it's the reality. I don't feel that I've got time to waddle my way through. I need to achieve. It's the fourth quarter, and got to put some points on the board if we're going to win. And but I'm enjoying every moment of it, the thrill of learning. But anyway, you left off with Michelle. Was there any others on your list that you wanted to
I
mention?
just want to say that Michelle also does a Bible study. I think it's called Stonegate
Hmm.
Bible Study. It's
That's her
online,
sister's church. Yep.
and yeah, and she's just using all of her gifts for God, which is, it's a lot of stuff that's she doesn't really talk about on PJNet, but
Hmm.
she does a lot of stuff to give God the glory, and that really is amazing. I think.
I've
Uh,
met a lot of good people. Jack
I
Foster.
know Stephanie is an amazing woman too. She's written a lot of Bible studies, and I think her latest one is called Jewels of Hebrews, about the book of Hebrews,
Hmm.
and she is. I know JD posts a lot of her stuff from her blog on his blog, so he got me looking at her stuff, and she is an amazing woman of God.
Yeah, I did this last night. I'm gonna do it again because I hadn't really made any progress. But um, Stephanie is the real thing, and I'm pulling up one frame of something she gave me her book, not her book, but the artwork, the cover, what they call the flat, which
Oh
is the
yeah.
front, the spine, and the back. And I was able to use that to incorporate. This is one frame of the video that I'm
Ah,
working
there it
on,
is. Yeah, yeah.
and surrounding it are hundreds and thousands of gems like that. And of course, it's animated. The gems fall and scatter
Right,
and
right.
and reflect light. It's
Yeah, I
really
can't
kind
wait
of
to see
neat.
that.
But that was a real. But I did all of that with no tutoring. That's purely just adrenaline, nicotine, and caffeine that did that.
How long does the clip last?
About 10 to 12 seconds. You're
And how
looking
long
at
did it take you to do it?
Well, that one I've got about 20 hours in it so far. I'll probably spend another
Wow.
20. But that's because I'm learning as I'm doing it. You know,
Hmm.
it took me 4 hours I remember the first thing I built or drew, whatever, was a 4 by 4 by 8 foot long fence post. Just a 4 by 4. Okay. Took me 4 hours. Now, drawing a 4 by 4 by 8 foot long cube is no big deal. I can do that. But making it look like a fence post, that's a little different.
Yeah, yeah.
And today I could draw one in a minute. What color, what grain, what kind of wood you want. I can make it fir. I can make it. What do you want? So I'm saying these long, long hours. And by the way, you don't have this problem, but when I say 20 hours, of that 20 hours, more than half of them you're waiting on it to compile and render.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah.
So you're not working, the computer is.
Hmm.
But so I drew all that in probably less than 6 hours, but hopefully what I'm doing is that will be, I did a little water fountain, and that'll be
Yeah, I
the
saw that.
template.
That was
Right.
good.
So I'm making templates to show off books. You can get all these templates for logos,
Hmm.
but books are the wrong size and the wrong aspect ratio. They don't work out right.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way they're portrayed is they're small, so I'm creating templates. So as new books come out, I can offer, hey, let's plug your book into this library of templates and make a package so that your launch team can have assets to use on social media, not just, hey, I haven't read the book, but I think it's going to be good because I know the author and I'm on their launch team and I'm trying to win a $15 Amazon gift card. Go out and pre-order now. There's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a.
New frontiers in book reveals. Okay, cover reveals.
Oh, yeah. Well, that just amazes me that at your age or our age, that you weren't so overwhelmed that you said, "Well, this is not, not worth it," or too much time or too much effort.
This is a God-sized thing, but the
Yeah.
prize is still the same. I want to
Mhm.
create, 3 to 4 minutes. So to answer your question, you've got about 12 seconds, but of course you've got 30 frames per second,
Right.
and that's and you learn techniques because you can't wait on 30 frames to render. It take hours. So
Yeah.
you learn how to scale it down and make a model that renders quickly to get the idea. And then when you think you got it perfected, then, and I just today there's actually rendering farms out there. These projects can take 14, 15 hours to render. And so what you do is you take your project and then you send it to them, and then they have multiple servers that render it while you can move on to the next task.
Yeah. That's
So,
good.
and it's like, I was surprised at the price because, I can't, if I've got 20 templates, if I spent 10 to 14 hours waiting on each one to render, that's not deliverable. That's not
Right.
deliverable. And worse yet, you have to wait for the first one to render before you can start on the second one because it completely bogs your computer down. You move the mouse, but the pointer moves 5 seconds later. You've seen,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so I think it's still got some scale problems, but we are just forging ahead.
Yeah.
Damn the torpedoes, or you know, just keep moving forward, and you don't really have to know. You don't have to wait for all the lights to turn green before you take a journey. You know what I'm saying? And if you do, you'll never leave. And I'm reminded of when I was a youngster. Remember the old Coleman lanterns? Remember those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
With the
we're,
mantles.
yeah. Well, they're actually not very good. But when we're walking
Yeah.
through
You
the
jar
woods,
them.
you can only see a radius around of the clear ground. When you're looking for moccasins like I was, you need and things to trip over in the woods. So what you do is you just have to look and then take the step in the direction that the light showed. Okay, and then
Exactly.
and that's kind of the way a lot of life is.
Hmm.
A ship on a journey across the ocean, for 99% of that journey, all it can see is ocean. It can't even see its
Yeah.
ultimate. And on the one hand, we need to have that goal out there, but we also need to just take the next step.
Right.
Just take
That's a
the
good
next step.
analogy of the Christian life right there.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even know the date. It's
Hmm.
set. We just don't know what it is. But just
Yeah.
keep moving forward. Michelle offers advice in her classes is, you can do something to move your project forward, even if just by a little, but it's every day. You
Right.
don't say,
Right.
well, I don't have time today. I'm going to take off next week and I'm going to really get this done. That's typically not the way people succeed. They make daily effort and move forward every day. You can do something.
Right. That's funny that you said that. That's usually when people ask for some kind of advice in learning illustration or anything. From me, I usually say, do something every day towards your goal, even if it's 10 minutes. At least you
Right.
moved in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Procrastination is something that you can do later.
Mm, That's right. Yep.
Put off your procrastination until next week, okay?
Right.
Well, Jack, we have met many good friends along the way, and you're among them, and we appreciate not only the professionalism and creativity in your work, but the way that you glorify the kingdom of God in doing it. And you are a story that needs to be shared. You are, and hopefully, what would be nice is to find some 20, 30-year old, to take under your wing,
Hmm.
because, and I don't have that, but I kind of
Yeah.
like, because the day will come when we're not going to be here, I mean,
Hmm.
it'd be nice
Yeah.
to have someone carry the torch.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of dreams in your head and my head, but will they be extinguished on that day? I
Well,
don't.
if somebody else carries them on, they won't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anybody. But if you're watching this and you're young, this old coach would like to show you a few,
Right.
few plays.
Got a lot of years and a lot of knowledge.
It is. Well, Jack, I'm gonna get to working on my illustration. How many projects do you have going on right now?
I just finished up one today. It usually takes, well, I had like 4 books come out in the last couple of months, but 2 of them I did like over a year ago. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it takes a year to get them out. But the ones that I'm doing for this person, they usually get them out in like 3 months. So
Mm-hmm.
that one should come out in 3 months. And then I'm working on two other books with July 15th deadlines. So
So you do more. You're actually doing more projects than one concurrently.
yeah, I always like to do two because you draw a raccoon over and over again for like
Uh,
2 months, and it starts getting to you. So it's nice to work on two, and you're doing a raccoon in one book, and a human being in another book, and it kind of breaks up the monotony a little bit.
well, good for you, because I can't even keep two tabs open in a browser. I gotta keep. I gotta. I work with people, and it's like, how many tabs you got open? Come on. My computer's running slow. Duh. you, you, throw some stuff overboard, man. I mean, come on.
Right, right.
But I'm glad you can do that, and I'm glad you found a way, because I cannot. I have to really just laser focus on one thing and then get that. Now, I've got a whiteboard up here that's got a bunch of projects, you know,
Mm,
and it feels good to just have it written down so that you can.
I do the same thing. I got them written down so I could put a line right through them when I
Yeah,
get
I,
done.
I
Yeah.
just want to strike through it and erase it, But all right, well, Jack, I've enjoyed talking to you, man. You're a wonderful brother in Christ, and I appreciate the work that you're doing
Oh,
for the
thank you, Coach.
kingdom,
I'm
and
so glad to talk to you too.
well,
Thank you.
and appreciate you on pretty short notice coming and visiting with us tonight. And all right, well, let's go put our heads back in the sand and get on it. But appreciate you sharing tonight, brother.
Will do. Thanks.
That was Jack Foster. He's an amazing man, not only in what he does, but what he's doing for the kingdom. And if you didn't see his last appearance on this program, he has got a powerful testimony, and the way that God has taken his life and what he is returning back to the kingdom is something we all would be inspired by. All right, well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for me tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night with a special guest that we haven't had in a long time. And I look forward to that. I also look forward to getting off the air and plunging into, you know, colliding gemstones and cascading mountains of rocks and thing blowing stuff up. And but before I leave, let me offer you something that has been of great value to me over the years. And I truly believe it's a word from God to me, because I've never seen this written down. I've never heard it spoken. It's just something that God put on my heart. So I wanted to share it with you in hopes that it will do for you what it's done for me. Basically, only 2 questions. It's real simple. The first question is, what is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And the second question is equally simple, but equally as profound. How long ago was that? If you'll give that some thought, I hope the conclusion is never to be satisfied with either answer.